Hey everybody! Welcome to my channel. I'm Heather.
I'm Dakota.
And today we're doing episode 1 of Dakota's Back to School Basics. What are we making today, Dakota?
We're making my backpack.
The
I'm so
backpack!
excited. I haven't seen it at all today.
So we are making the Archie backpack from Knot and Thread Design. So I will link that pattern below. I do make some heavy modifications to it. It is just because of the materials that Dakota chose to make the bag. I had to switch up a few things to make it work. Also, really wanted to make it nice and strong for her to use as an everyday school bag, knowing Dakota and what she's going to do to her backpack. So we made some modifications today just so that we can make sure that this backpack will last as long as Dakota wants it to. And we are going to do materials, and Dakota's going to pick out some zipper pulls, which we're very excited about. Can't wait to see what she chooses. And then we're going to get into sewing. It's going to take us a bit. It's a big bag, but we'll be back here at the finish table before you know it with a bag that Dakota can try on for us. Stay tuned. All right, so here we are with all of our materials. First of all of our exterior vinyl pieces are from Itchin' to Get Stitchin'. It is a pebbled vinyl. I think it's this one's the pebbled one. It's got a texture to it. So these are all of our exterior pieces. Again, Itchin' to Get Stitchin'. I will link everything that I can in the description box below, so make sure you read that. All of our interior pieces are this super fun, like Lisa Frank sort of print with the different colors, the rainbow, and this is waterproof canvas from Oh So Pretty Custom Fabrics. So here right on top we have both of our zipper gusset pieces, zipper panel pieces, and our gusset panel piece. And then we have just over here, this is going to be what makes our water bottle pocket. And we're going a little off book, a little modified. And so I have a little bit of elastic here too. We're gonna wing this one. I've never made a water bottle pocket, but I wanted to be able to fit a good sized water bottle for Dakota. So this is what we need for that. Now we also have our front panel. It's still squared, so we haven't made our round offs on the top or the bottom yet. And we're doing our front pocket piece a little differently too. We're doing it differently because we are using this vinyl. We have it with a foam backing, so I have basted foam onto all of our exterior pieces just to give it that structure. We're not quilting, and we're not using quilting cotton, which is what this pattern is really written for. And so because of that, I'm modifying how we're doing the front pocket a tiny bit. So we have our base. We have 2 pocket pieces here, and then we have what will be our top. Obviously we still need to make the rounding corners, but I'm gonna build out our front panel first and then take our rounded edge exterior and use that to just trace a pattern on the front so that they're exactly the same size. So there's all those pieces. And then we have our laptop sleeve, is what it's called, but it's just really a big interior pocket. So we have 2 pieces for that. And then we have a facing here that matches our exterior. And this pocket piece is going to be so easy to sew when we put that together. And then we have our 2 main interior pieces. We're going rainbow zipper tape here, and then we have a bunch of different pulls that Dakota will pick out for us. So we'll see what she chooses. I don't know yet. We have rainbow rivets. We have our bag tag from Heartwood and Hide Co. This is custom made, and I think it's going to go just so well with that pink on the exterior. We're using webbing for our backpack straps. So this is 1.5 inch webbing from Imperium threads. Oh, I said it right this time. I've been saying it wrong. So again, 1.5 inch wide will be linked below. And then finally, I think, we have our rainbow hardware, and this is from Waywack. I actually just got these in because I didn't have anything in 1.5 inch. So that's where we're at for that. Let's have Dakota pick out her zipper pulls, and then we'll get going with sewing.
Hey guys!
All right, Dakota, let's pick out your zipper pulls. So we need 3 altogether.
Okay.
2 that match for our big top zipper, and 1 to go on the front.
Mom, how do you expect me to pick one? I love them all.
Well, you can pick 3, remember?
Alright. First, I'm going to take one by one, and so I'm going to take one by one and spread them out since I can't see them all in one, since that's impossible. We're going to leave the ones that I already picked out in the pile, so that way I don't get confused. Okay. Okay, now that I have got all of them sorted in here, I'm going to have to choose which one. Let's see. This is difficult, Mom. Okay, I'm going to say what really would match is like the flower and the star. Because flower star makes sense, right?
Do you want to hold them up so we can see what you picked? Okay. So stars for the top, flower for the front, maybe?
Sure.
All right. So we have our zipper pulls picked. The next step is we're going to make our front panels. So we're going to head over to the sewing machine and start our pocket. All right. So here we are at the machine. And the machine is a Juki 2010 Q. We're sewing with Tex 35 weight thread from Wizardry Stitchery. We have a 9014 needle, and I do have my walking foot on here. We have everything we need to do our front pocket. We have our number 5 zipper tape, our flower pull picked by Dakota, our bottom exterior, top exterior, and then our 2 pocket pieces. Now we also are going to need, we have some scrappies, and we're going to need to just make some zipper tabs. So we're going to do that. Trim up our zipper. And basically what we're doing is we're just trying to keep our zipper out of the seam allowance when we sew our gusset. That's going to be important for us. It'll make the gusset fit better. So we're just going to add some zip tabs. They will lie flatter. It will be much better. Just going to do a quick light burn, and then we'll put our zipper tab on, do a better burn. This is number 5 zipper tape, and that's what we're using all around. I don't usually do rainbow, so it's new for me. And again, we're modifying the pattern just because of the materials that we're using, not because the pattern isn't great as it is, because it totally is. It's just, I know with the materials that we're using that it's going to be easier for us to be successful doing everything this way. So that's what we're going to do. This is just a scrap. I'm going to redo the zipper. We have a little smush. sometimes when you get a little off on the coils, you can see a little bump. And so I saw a little bump, which probably no one else would have seen, but here we are fixing. Oh, there we go. See? Much better. All right, so now we're doing something super basic here. We're just gonna add the tabs to each end. They're gonna be longer than we need, but that's okay. So our little tabs are face side down. And then we're just gonna flip and top stitch. And this is just an easy way to make sure that we don't add a lot of bulk into our gusset. And then we're just going to come over here and do the same thing. And if you haven't watched my videos before, I always take my time just going over the zipper coils. Breaking a needle when my face is so close to the machine just makes me incredibly nervous. So we take it slow. Okay, there we go. And we're just going to line up our tabs and find the middle of our zipper. And I don't like to cut into zipper tape. Some people do, and they do it totally fine. The zippers last, but I know that this backpack is going to be used 5 days a week. And I just want to make sure that we set Dakota up to be as successful as possible with our backpack and that it lasts for as long as possible. So we're just going to make marks with our chalk tool right in the center. There we go. Now I want to make sure that our zipper closes to the left and opens to the right. And so closes to the left, opens to the right. So I want this to go down, face down, on my bottom exterior panel. I need to find the center. And we'll go ahead and find the centers of all of our pieces while we're here, which I should have done already. But that is all right. I think one of my favorite things is that Dakota's been adamant that she wants simple and basic, and well, that's not what she chose here today. So I just think it's funny and adorable. I'm also a huge fan of this blue and pink. So girl after my own heart. All right, so we found the centers. So we're putting our zipper right sides together, so facing down with our exterior. We're lining up our center markings. And clipping into place. And we added the foam just again to provide some stability to the backpack, but also to make it a little more smushy cushy and a little more substantial, again in the hopes that it will outlast Dakota this year. Okay, and then we're taking one of our pocket panel pieces and we're putting that face down. And we're once again going to match up our center markings. You could baste your zipper and exterior together first if you want. I just like to put it all together. And we're getting to our zipper pull, so I'm just going to make sure we move that out of the way. Okay, and then we are going to separate our materials, and we're going to put a top stitch on. So here we're just making sure that our canvas and our vinyl separate appropriately. Can clip these to make sure, but we're just going to make sure that as we go down and top stitch that we finger press and that we're keeping everything pulled away from our zipper teeth. And we do have foam in here, so that's important. It's going to be bulkier than if you didn't have foam. Again, just pausing to make sure everything's pulled away. Top stitch on the front of your backpack is going to be pretty important. There we go. Top stitch in, it looks great. So now what we want to do is take our top exterior panel and we're turning that upside down so our foam is on facing us and the right side is facing the right side of our panel that we've already sewn. We're going to match up the center on our zipper. Clip all the way down. Now, here we want to lay our second pocket panel piece down, and we're placing our clipped zipper and exteriors on top of it, lining up our centers once again, and we're just clipping everything together. I think that I'm more nervous to make this than I have been to make anything that I've ever made before. Dakota's not an easy one. And I want my foam panel to be down So I'm gonna flip it. So you can see our interiors are facing each other, our exteriors are facing each other, and that's what we want here. So now we're just gonna go ahead like we did before and sew everything together. And we're just going to come in here and move the zipper pull. Okay, so here we are only lifting up our exterior here, and we're leaving our panel piece down. So our top stitch is just going to include our top exterior, and that will ensure that this pocket here has two sides. Okay? Just move these things out of the way, and we'll top stitch. And we do want to make sure that our seam is lying up here underneath our exterior piece. We basically want to make sure that we catch it in the top stitch. I'm going to go from this way. Your girl has a side that she does top stitching on better, and it's this one. So here we are. Anyone else have a top stitch side, like a side that they're just way better at? And I'm just making sure we're catching what we need to, that our underneath seam is still underneath where we're top stitching. There we go. So now what we have here is almost completed front pocket, and it zips the way we want it to, lies nicely. It's adorable. So what we're going to do now is turn this upside down, and we're just going to trim off the excess on the bottom here, so that they line up. And then we're just going to clip the bottom together of just our pocket pieces. And we're just going to go ahead and sew together the bottom Okay, and we just used a 1/4 inch seam allowance because that's my fave. And we didn't sew the sides because we're gonna baste everything together. But before we do that, we have a couple of things. So we need to create our shape. And so we're just taking our back panel and we're gonna line it up on our front panel. Make sure we're even, and then we will take our air erasing marker and we're just gonna draw. We're gonna mark our centers first to make sure we draw in the right spots. That we're lining everything up. And we will need our centers later anyways. Good practice, clip your centers. Don't learn from me. Don't wait until you're needing to do something and then you're like, oh God, I don't have a clipped center. And we could have pre-cut this also. I just find it easier to build out the pocket because you never know with your seam allowances and all of that sort of where you're going to end up. And I do think it's important to make sure that you are where you need to be. So we're lining up with the bottom, center, and the top center. And we're just going to draw with our air erasing marker. And then we'll make some cuts. And so now you can start to see our backpack shape is coming together. All right, so that's our front panel. Now before we go ahead and baste everything, we are going to put on a nameplate. So we're just going to take some double-sided tape. We're going to eyeball it. Good practice? Probably not. But that's how we're going to roll here today. So we're just putting double-sided tape on the back of our bag tag. And we're gonna go up a little bit from the zipper. Like I said, we're just gonna eyeball it. I like that. Let's go for it. Let's see. It looks pretty good. We're gonna go for it. And to attach our bag tag, we just do a top stitch around the whole thing. I pivot at the corners so it makes almost like a diagonal because I find it easier to line up that way. Having the foam in here makes it a little thicker. Okay. All done. So cute. Let's do a little burn for our threads. All right. So now we're done with our front panel. And what we're going to do is take our interior panel and we're basting it together. And a baste is, again, it's just a top stitch that you're never gonna see. So we're just lining up our bottom first. And our top. This is gonna be so cute. This is a big bag, you guys. So this is definitely not a mini backpack. I did put the pieces up to Dakota's backpack from last year, and it was pretty similar in size. So it's a regular size backpack. We do have our front pocket that's going to be included in our seam allowance, but that is going to be okay. So we're just clipping everything together. And we're gonna go with our lining side down. And we're just gonna do a baste. And we're basting around the whole thing right now. There we go. So now our interior and exterior are attached to each other, and we are all set with this for now. We are going to move on to putting together our zipper panels. And there are instructions for how to make your zippers and things like that. I just take our zipper panel pieces, cut a zipper length that I know is going to be big enough. Because we're using zipper tape, not such a big deal. I like to have a little extra, so that's what we're going to do. All right, we have our zipper tape. And we're using 2 pulls, so it doesn't matter, but our zipper panel pieces are separate sizes, so there's a smaller, a skinnier, and then a wider side. So we're going to take this skinnier side first, and we're going to take our zipper tape and put it face side down onto our exterior. Go ahead down and clip, and this is a wide opening, obviously, for folders and laptops or iPads, lunch boxes, all the goodies. So it is a good amount of zipper tape. You're gonna need more than 2 feet just for this top zipper. Now we're going to make a zipper sandwich. So we're going to take our interior panel piece and put that right side down. And we're just going to add it into our clippies as we go move down the zipper tape. Not that one, because it just broke. The only thing scarier than a clip breaking in your fingers is a needle breaking in your eye. Trust me. All right, now we'll sew together. This is a big one. All right. Perfect stitch though, so that's great. Now we're going to pull these apart just as we did. We're making our zipper pocket piece, except this is much longer. So we're going to take our time with this and make sure that it stays pulled apart. Just adding some clips down here to try to help that process. We'll still pull it apart, but I just like to add the clips, just extra security in case I get in some sort of groove and forget what we're doing, which also happens. All right, just gonna go ahead and down and top stitch from our good top stitch side. All right, top stitch complete. It's very exciting. Very exciting. We're gonna go ahead and baste these panels together while we already have them clipped. And we will do it from this side. This will just make sure that we keep everything where we want it, especially with that foam. All right, so now that panel piece is just one piece, which is perfect. That's what we want. So now we need to build our other side, and we're going to do that exactly the same way. So we're going to take our exterior piece, and this time we're turning it face down so that it's right side together with the other zipper panel piece that we already have. We're lining up those sides, clipping in place. It's interesting because a lot of times I'll make something and after the fact Dakota will steal it, or she'll be like, oh, mommy, I want that. And I'm like, okay, sure, you know, whatever. But actually making something for her is 100 times more stressful. 100. And so then we're taking our interior panel, and that will be right side facing up because we're going to take our interior panel and put it right on top. And so again, we're just lining everything up here. And adding it into our clips, just like we did on the other side. All right, we'll go ahead and sew together. All right, you guys. So same thing, pulling apart our material. And of course, if you're not using like foam or vinyl like this together, you might have an easier time. Also, our waterproof canvas is thick. It's not thin, so we did choose materials that hopefully will stand up to 8-year-old lifestyle on purpose, but it does make it a little more difficult to sew. So that's something to keep in mind if you're gonna go for making this bag. Think about what you want to make it out of. All right, and now our top stitch from our top stitch side. And we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing that we did on the other side. We're going to stitch everything together now so we don't have to worry about it later. Making it all one cohesive piece, which is, at the end of the day, of course, what we want. It's going to make it so much easier to attach to our main bag panels. These fabrics have been awesome to sew through. Okay, perfect. This is good to go. So our next step will be attaching our gusset, but before that we have to grab our zippers. So we're going to go do that, and then we're going to come back with our zippers and gusset piece and finish off the second part of our bag, which will leave just the back. Okay, so a couple of things here. We did put our zipper pulls on, one from each side, so they meet each other in the middle. This makes it super easy because there's no right or wrong side to put anything on. Now, our gusset piece here is thinner than our zipper panel piece, and so what I'm doing right now is basically I'm just lining. There are instructions in there. There's also an instruction to put a top handle on here, and we're not going to do that. Again, this is just me thinking how much this is going to get used every day. So we're going to build out our whole strap system a little different than in the pattern. That includes the top handle. So I'm basically just eyeballing the center of the panel. So I have our smaller gusset piece. I can see that we're about the same length away. on everything the whole way. So I'm just going to take, again, my air erasing marker and go right down. Both sides here. And this will help us. We're going to do another stitch and then we'll cut off the excess, and that will make our panel pieces much easier. It has you taking off the actually all of it from the smaller side, but because we have our foam and all of that, I don't want to get too wild up in here, so we're going to take half and half. I think that will be perfect. And we just followed the line from our air erasing marker, and this will erase, so I'm not worried about it. We're just going to cut off anything outside of where we just stitched. We're just going to leave a little 1/8 inch seam allowance, and then we're good to go, you guys. So this is just an easy modification. Again, I had started off by saying we are making some changes, and it's not because the pattern is bad. The pattern is great. It's just that I know what's going to happen to this backpack, and I'm keeping that in mind as we forge forward. I want to not have to make another one until next year. So I'm making decisions based on that. And she is going into 4th grade, and we'll have more things that she's bringing home. And I just want her to feel confident that the bag she has is going to stay together, and I want to feel confident too. So, all right, there we go. So this is all set for right now. What we're gonna do before we attach everything all together, we have to think about our drink pocket. So I'm gonna look at this. I'm winging it. A little different because she has giant bottles. So we're just gonna sew these together, right sides together. And then we're flipping wrong sides together. We're going to do a top stitch here at the top. I've never made a little drink pocket before. It could not turn out. Let's be honest. Anything could happen. We're going to top stitch. So make sure we have a crisp edge there. All right, so I measured this bigger than in the pattern, the pieces. So these are, I don't remember. Okay, 7 by 6. 7 by 6, so 7 high and 6. Then that elastic that I showed earlier, I cut this at 5 1/4. And this is 1 inch wide elastic. So I am going to come on this side. I'm gonna grab my chalk marker. We're gonna go down an 1.25 inches. No, we're gonna go down 1.5 inches to make up for the top stitching. Drawing a chalk mark. And you know what? This could not work. 100%. But we're gonna find out together, like we always do. All right, so at this mark, 1.5 inches down, I am gonna sew. Sew these together, and this is going to create a channel for our elastic in theory. So this works. It's going to be great. If it doesn't, that's okay. She can put her water inside her backpack. All right, so there's what we have right now. Now what we need to do, sorry guys, we're just gonna cut and burn. All right, where did it go? So I make scrunchies sometimes. So I have this scrunchie elastic tool. I'm gonna attach the elastic in it like so, and then just feed through. I'm gonna keep one end here at the end. See if we can't pull the elastic. And we can. So I'm just gonna baste this down. Gonna baste it. Okay, and then we'll pull this through. Detach our tool. Make sure that it's where the other elastic is placed. Baste this into place. And that should give us a little bit of stretch. I don't know. Should, in theory, give us a bit. Okay. We're gonna make the bottom even here. It's like a Frankenstein bag. And you know what? I'm okay with that. And so we want our opening to be at the top of our gusset. And we want to make sure that we sew our base together first. I want to sew this together. So we're just going to fold and fold, and then we'll match these up down here, and that will give us a finished edge. I'll show you in 1 second once I clip what that finished edge looks like. So we just clipped it as we would, this is like it's kind of like what we would do for a drop-in lining, where we turn them in on each other, and that will give us just a finished edge there at the bottom. So we'll top stitch that. And you know what, you guys? I still don't know if this is going to work out. I feel like the doctor who stitched together Frankenstein right now, but I mean, it looks pretty. So we're going to find out. We'll see. All right. Now, keeping in mind that we want to leave the top so that we can attach it to our zipper, still have plenty to go around our base. We want our backpack, we want this to be there. So we're going to go down about 1 inch. About 1 inch. We want to make our pocket pop. So we're going to give it some volume here. Again, working through this together. We're Frankensteining our bag together. Okay, so let's get our top here. Move our vinyl away. I think if we have our top pop out and then taper in, let's see if that works. Let's see. And I'm just doing it so different, honestly, than the pattern that I don't know how we could make it work the way that it's written. So that's why we're having to sort of Frankenstein something together right now. That's what's going on. I want this little bump because I want it to hold a good water bottle. All right, we're gonna go for that. So that's what it'll look like on the side. It's got that elastic in there. It does taper. We'll see. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna start in the middle over here. or on the side, I mean. We'll just go right above where we already stitched. And we might just have to lay it flat, you guys. So maybe my bigger pocket is not going to work out. It's all right. That's okay. Might still be able to taper it slightly. Oh yeah. All right. And then we'll go down this side here. Again, we'll just do a slight taper so that it's even. All right, we did it, you guys. We did it. We got a little pocket. She ain't big, but that's okay. That's all right. We're gonna cut off our extra. We tried. Didn't know if it was gonna work, and it didn't, but it's okay because we still have a really cool pocket that will hold something. Here we go. See? That'll be so cute. All right, there we go. So now, understanding that the skinnier side is our front and we want our pocket piece on either side, so it doesn't really matter. We just want to make sure that it's right side up. So when we attach our gusset, it'll be like that. So we're going to start from this side. We're just going to center our panel. We also have to cut our excess zipper tape. We're ready for the burn. Okay, so we're clipping right sides together. Okay, and then we're taking our lining and putting that right side together with our lining piece. Again, just matching up with our exterior here. All right, we'll sew together at the seam allowance in the pattern. And again, make sure that you have put your zipper pulls on before you do this. That would be awful. Okay. And then we're going to do our top stitch. So make sure that everything's pulled away. You're good to go. This is pretty thick with all of our foam. we're going to change our needle because we skipped a few stitches. So let's do that and then come back together. All right, so we changed our needle. We fixed our skipped stitches. Skipped stitches on top stitching is always a no-go. So we're just lining up our other side. Again, right sides together. We need to cut our zipper tape over here also. Do a burn. And thanks for hanging out with me, guys, while I figure out how to make this backpack awesome. I'm pretty nervous about it, so I'm happy you guys are here with me. But also, just like, as you know, I like to remind everybody that anything is possible, and it's important to believe that, and to believe that if you have a vision for something, you can definitely make it happen. So that's what we're doing here. We're making it happen. All right, same seam allowance as the other side. And you probably won't skip stitches if you're using the material that the pattern suggests. I am not. All right, we're going to throw a top stitch on this side. Then we're going to baste our gusset together. And we'll set it aside for now as we work on our back panel, the interior and exterior. Just going slow. Making sure we catch. Oh no. Why didn't we catch our bobbin, you guys? Why didn't we catch our bobbin? Changing the tension. We're going to do that again. What happened? I don't know. I don't know, you guys. Hey, bobbin's in there. We're like good to go. So we're going to try again. We hit a spot there. Let's take a look. I don't know what's happening, you guys. I don't know. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna hop off camera and figure out why we're not catching right here, fix it, and then I'm gonna baste together our gusset. So we're just gonna go whoop, right down just like we did here with our zipper. And then we'll find the centers of the bottom and the top on both sides of our panels. And when we come back, we'll be on to our back piece. All right. Did we figure out why we were skipping stitches? No, we did not. But we are done. We have stitched together all of our panels. We found our centers, top, bottom. We're good to go. So we're going to set this aside for now. And then our last piece is our back panel pieces. So we're going to build our interior slip pocket first. Now this gets sewn into our lining and our base. So right now what we're going to do is just baste together the top of our panels, wrong sides together, because we are going to take a facing and put that on top, which will cover our raw edge. So this pocket is going to be like the easiest pocket you have ever made. So we just lined up our top. We're going to baste it together. You just want to make sure your baste stitch will be covered by your zipper facing. All right, almost done. Okay, so easy. Now we're going to take our facing, we're just going to crease it down the center. You could use double-sided tape here. My machine is being a little finicky, so we're not going to use double-sided tape. We're going to clip our facing right on the top, all the way down. And that's okay, because it will stay. It's not super big. And this will actually finish off our pocket really nicely. And then we'll be able to sew it, baste it right onto our main interior piece, and our pocket will be done. And we just have to do the back of our backpack. Okay, so there's our facing on both sides. We're going to just do 1/8 of an inch first to make sure we catch, and then we'll come back in with another stitch. And so here you can see we stitched right up the top, and we're going to come down, and this time at 1/4 of an inch we're going to make another line. Oh, excuse me. And this is not in the pattern like this. This is another modification. Honestly, the zipper facing, look how good that looks with the double stitch. The zipper facing was just an extra piece of vinyl that I had, and I prefer, like knowing Dakota, having just a full-size big back pocket that she can put papers in if she wants to, so that they don't get lost. So that sort of was my thinking about this pocket and how to make it as useful as possible for Dakota. Again, that's why we really changed up this pattern, was with her in mind. So we're going to clip. And our pocket does overhang in some places, our panel, main panel, and that's totally fine. Basically, we just want the top to line up, be straight, and it is. So that's what I'm most concerned about. We'll cut off any excess so it doesn't get in our way when we put our bag together. And we're gonna sew with our back panel, main panel up. This will ensure that we stay where we want to and that we sew everything together. If we sew where there's excess from our pocket pieces, we won't necessarily be basting everything together. And that's what we want to make sure we do. There we go. There's our big giant back pocket for Dakota to lose things. Let's cut off our excess. Now I did wind a full bobbin. You guys would be proud of me before we started. However, we might still need to change it out or risk running out. So we are going to check that here in a second. Now the pattern piece, or the pattern, has you putting the backpack straps into the top seam. We're going to do it a little different. Again, just thinking about where and what I know happens to bags. So there we go, guys. We're going to set her aside for now. Take our back panel piece. Now, again, so like I was saying, what I know happens to bags in Dakota's hands. And I just want to make sure that we're being smart with what we're choosing. We're going to come down 4 inches. Come down 4 inches. We're going to come down 3.5 inches. Again, I've never made this backpack before, and since we're making so many modifications, you get to see me making them together. So I'm going to come down 3.5 inches from the top center. I'm going to use my vinyl marking silver pen. This will come off with water. Okay, and that is going to be where we line up the top. We're going to do a backpack strap here, guys. So this is where we will line up the top of our strap. And this will make sure that when our strappies come out, they're out of our seam allowance, but being here on the foam, we're going to sew a bunch of stitches through it, it will make it very secure, and I, knowing Dakota, will feel much better about the longevity of the bag. And that's what's important here. All right, so we're just gonna snip off some webbing. And we're gonna use double-sided tape here. We're gonna do 2 rows. And so this is just it's gonna anchor our straps, and this is where we're gonna put our handle also. And once we build this back piece, then we're really on to putting our bag together. So we're actually almost there. Very exciting. Very exciting. We're gonna put this down first. We'll pull it up to put in our handles and our backpack straps. All right, so we're just peeling our tape off here. And we're gonna come in and just center right on that silver line. Just like that. Perfect. Okay, we're down. Now, we need to make a handle, and we also need to have enough webbing to make our D-ring connectors. I wish I had a light pink. Maybe I have what I would like to do is just make a small grab handle hook, and that should be enough for our D-ring connectors down the bottom. Let's work this out here. Yeah, that should be good. All right, we're gonna give it a go. We're gonna burn the ends. You won't see these, but it'll be important. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the center of our bag, and then we just want to put our handle right there in the center. So we're gonna pull up our tape, and we're just gonna stick these right in there. Okay, so that's our handle stuck in. Now, our backpack straps. We've cut them at 42 inches, and we are going to make them so that they attach to a slider and then a swivel so they can clip right in there. Now, we want handles to read handmade, so that's going in the right direction. And so is that. Perfect. We also want our handles to come in at an angle. That will help when it's sitting on our shoulders, or Dakota's shoulders, to really have that nice little fit in the crick of her shoulder blade. And so that will be really important for us as well here. We don't want to overlap. So we're gonna cut off a piece. Once I feel like we're at a good angle, I think we are, we're gonna come in here. We're gonna trim. And we'll burn. Again, make sure there's no fraying. We're gonna lift. And we're going right next to our handle. Just like so. And so that will give us that nice little shape. All right, we're almost there. Making sure that stays where we want it to. Now we're going to cut this same shape out of this side here, and that is, what is it? So if we cut that there, all right, yep, that's where we're gonna go. Because that will put us in line with our other strap. Okay. We'll just do a cut. A burn, the same lift over here. And again, we're just going right next to. Here we go. And this will make sure that we're even. This looks really good. All right, we're gonna sew this down, and we are gonna do three stitches up top and 3 on the bottom. So again, we're gonna make sure that this is super, super secure. And all the stitching will help make sure that that is possible. Just need to keep all of these out of the way for now. Little octopus tentacles. All right. And I'll feel better once we have our first stitch over everything. tacked in place now. We'll come down and do our first stitch at the bottom, or across the bottom, I should say. And I would normally then just keep our stitching going, but I do want to check the bobbin. So I'm just going to come up to where we started. I don't want to run out while we're doing this nice stitching, and we would have. Look at that. I finally won bobbin roulette. It only took how many videos? All right, so I'm gonna redo the bobbin, and then I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do 2 more stitches on the top and 2 more on the bottom, 1/8 of an inch away from each of the last stitches. So our next one will be 1/4 and then 3/8, and then same here, we'll go 1/4, 3/8, and that will ensure that our straps are definitely not going anywhere. So I'm gonna do all of that, and then we will come back together, baste our back panels, and then move on to final completion of our bag. All right, we wound our bobbin. We have 6 rows of stitching in our backpack strap and top handle piece, so I feel really good about that. We've just bound up our straps for now because we're going to put them together at the end, and we have our 2 D-ring connectors placed per the pattern. We're going to go ahead and baste these on both sides before we put our back panel on. I think we're also going to rivet this down in place, and I'll show you what I mean by that in 1 second. I just want to get these riveted down, basted down first, and then we will go over a rivet. All right, so our D-rings they're sort of like floppy, and I don't want that. I also want to make sure, again, what we're doing is setting Dakota up to be successful. And if we put a rivet here, it will brace some of that impact that you would get from the stitching. So like the pulling when she's putting it on, taking it off, if it gets stuck in a door or something like that. We're just going to throw a rivet right in here on both sides, right in the middle, and that will hold these down. So when we're sewing our gusset on, our D-rings won't get in the way, but also it will help in the future take some of the weight when she's holding it, and I know that this won't get in the way when she's wearing it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do that off camera. Okay, so we also trimmed up our sides here to make them flush. It's looking great. So we're going to do these rivets off camera. The other thing that we're going to do off camera, because we already did this once, is we're just going to baste our panels together. So we're going to go ahead and clip just like we did when we did our front panel. We'll baste everything together off camera. Because you already watched me do that once, you don't have to watch me do it again. You're not missing anything. And then we'll come back together, and we're in final construction after that. So we are almost there. This is a giant backpack compared to any backpack I've made before. So we're actually doing pretty good, I think. And this is where we're going to use our rainbow rivets. So our double cap rainbow rivets, again, one in each side, and that will just keep us nice and flush, secure. It will give me a peace of mind when Dakota goes off into the wild with her backpack. We'll be right back. Okay, so we have our rivets in and they look awesome. It will definitely help with security and strength. We also have basted our back on. So this is good to go. We're gonna set this to the side for now. When I put together a bag, I like to put the gusset on the front panel first, and there is no reason for that. I don't know, it's like habit, you know, like when you know. Sometimes you have these habits when you sew and you are like, all right, this is how I do things, so this is how I have to do things. So that's what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna take our front panel. I'm just gonna move our zipper into the middle so we're sure that it doesn't get in the way. And we're gonna take our big old gusset. Just cutting off any extra threads that I see. Now I know that the skinnier part is the front, so this part needs to go to the front of the bag. So we're turning this inside out. I swear I just saw another long thread. Okay. And we're just matching our centers. Sorry, this is, like I said, it's a regular size backpack, so it's pretty big here. We're just gonna match our centers on the top and the bottom. Okay. And we're just gonna sort of work our way around. There are, obviously, the top is one big curve and then there are two smaller curves along the sides, and so we might have to make some adjustments to make our gusset fit correctly. We're going to leave our bottom corners to the end, just to make sure we have a good fit. This is a cutie. Will I make a whole bunch more regular size backpacks? I think probably not, but this one is going to be worth it to see Dakota head off on the first day of school carrying a bag that I made. I try to remind her that not everyone has a mom who can sew, and so not everyone is going to have a homemade bag. Hopefully she takes that with her in her travels. There are some thick parts, you guys, you know, where we put the elastic, and so we're going to have to take our time. And you can see we are going to have to snip in here. So I'm glad I saved that to the end. We'll do the same thing over here. And we're just going to take our time. I also forgot in our materials to show the binding, so I will show you the binding we're going to use when we get to that part. This is a bound bag. Okay, so we are going to just clip into our gusset in the corners. give us some more space, fan out our fabric a little bit. There we go. Much better. Love a good fan out. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Side is a little tougher because we have that drink pocket in here. So the fan is going to be a little more difficult. Just want to try to make sure we get it as even as possible with our other side. Uneven bag will definitely be noticeable. Looks like we need just a little more space. We're gonna fan out a little bit further down on this side. See if that will give us what we need. We'll get there, you guys. That definitely helped. I feel better about that. All right, we're gonna roll with what we got. Okay. Whew. So we're gonna sew gusset side up. We're gonna use our screwdriver just to make sure that everything is pushed down and as straight as possible, laying well. And we're just gonna go for it. See what happens. Okay. The one thing, so the walking foot is amazing, but you need so much space because it's so large. All right, here we go. Wish us luck. And take your time. A lot of the bulk we have is from the foam, and foam goes down. Just using my screwdriver to keep my fabric in place around the corner, and also to make sure that we don't have any bulkies that will give us sort of ripples when we turn our fabric. Sorry if my arm is getting in the way. All right, you guys, so far so good. This will probably be the hardest part down here because, again, it does have that cup holder. So Gonna take our time. And you can hear it catch that cup holder. All right, so far so good. We're still in the cup holder, so again, this is a lot of layers. I think the foam really helps keep the shape. Don't have a lot of bunching or anything like that, so that's great. So take it easy around the curve. The more you take your time, the less you'll have to go back and fix also. One of the things I love about bound bags is like the reveal part of it, because it's always awesome. And binding is not hard. This is not a hard shape. It is a lot of binding that you're gonna do, but it's not difficult. So even if you're a newbie, you won't ever get better at it unless you try it, so. I was new to sewing, and every time somebody was like, we're doing a bound bag today, I was like, okay, nope, not me. And I wish I would have kept watching. It took me years to sort of hop out of my comfort zone, and I'm so glad that I did. So now I'm just advocating for other people to do the same thing. Hop on out of your comfort zone. Just taking our time over by the gusset where the pieces come together, and we're back at the beginning. Let's see, we're probably gonna fix some things, and that's okay. We are. I see some not great stitches, but I mean overall, guys, look at this thing. Look at her. It's looking pretty good. So what I'm doing now is I'm just looking for like skipped stitches or stitches that are too big, and I do see a bunch of those. So we're gonna fix those off camera, and the way I do that is just go back over it. So here, I don't know if you can see this, but this is a big skip stitch, and why, I have no idea. I really don't, because it's not a lot of bulk there. I don't know what's going on with the machine today, but it's one of those days. So I'm going to fix those skip stitches, and then we'll come back together and bind the first side of our bag. Okay. We have our gusset on. We fixed our stitches. We did our thing, and this is what we're using for binding. So this is self-adhesive. It's from Fabric Therapy, and I will link this with all the other stuff. I like this because it is self-adhesive, number one, but also it's really easy to use. It's user-friendly and great for beginner binders. So we are just gonna start at the bottom. And binding is meant to give structure, yes, but at the end of the day, the big takeaway is that it covers the stitches and the raw edges. So that's our end game goal here, is just to make sure we cover everything up on both sides. And I'm going to put some clips in just to make sure, and we do have bulky seams because we have that foam on foam on foam. And then we also have some spaces where there's vinyl on vinyl. There's a lot. I like it because it's not thick, not really adding anything to your seams here. Sometimes when you do binding, you add a little too much bulk, makes it a little more difficult. This is a pretty bulky part down here. This is where our drink holder is. And you guys, the reality of the inside of a bag too is like not gonna be seen a lot. That's just the reality of it, especially a school bag. Very good. So I do still clip, even though it sticks, just to make sure it stays where we want it to. And we're just gonna do one side of this together, and then I will go off camera. I'm gonna put on our other side of our bag and our binding. Then we get to finish our backpack straps and be all done. So, I mean, the hard part is behind us, I believe. I just love all this rainbow that we have going on. This is not simple or basic. Let's not tell Dakota. Looks like we have some bulky bits. This is just some overhang material and foam. Try to cut it out of our seam here. And I just unroll a little as we go. I think it makes it easier to work with. We don't have a whole bunch unrolled at once, sticking to itself, other things, etc. And sewing on binding is not as stressful as when you sew the panels together because they're already sewed together. Right now we're just finishing the edges. I think it's way less stressful, not as difficult. I'm sure there's people who would disagree. There's also people who take binding very seriously and everything is absolutely perfect. I'm not those people. That's why I like binding, because it doesn't have to be perfect. But some people do it amazing. You should watch those people. I'm just going to do it mediocrely. Mediocre. I'm going to do it in the middle. All right. Again, we're just trying to schmooze over our bulky bits here. I kind of have a lot of them. A lot of bulky bits. It's okay. There we go. There we go, guys. We're almost back to our starting point. Oh, getting all kinds of twisted. Good when it comes to the corners too, because you can kind of like stretch it out, move it around. Doesn't have to be like super lined up. And then when we get back to where we started, we're just going to overhang a little bit. So overhang by just a little, and then we're going to fold our end in. Like that, and right back down. All right, I feel good about that. We're gonna go with it, hope for the best. We're gonna start on the straight edge down here, and we're just going around the whole bag. Easy peasy. Again, we've already sewed it, so it's not to sew it, it's just to secure the binding in place. I don't know what happened there, but we're just going to hand crank. Again, this is where our pocket is, so these pieces are thick. So maybe next time I won't use vinyl on vinyl on vinyl. We're almost through it though. Good hand crank will get you through almost anything. we go, guys. There we go. Bound. And it looks great. Even though we had to hand crank over that section. I don't know what that was about, but looks awesome. All right. So now, off camera, I'm going to go ahead and attach our back panel, just like I did the front panel. Sew it around, add our binding, and then we'll flip our bag right side out and finish our backpack straps, and we'll be all done. Almost there. Okay, so we have turned our bag and we sort of mocked up one of our backpack straps here. I'm just going to go through the other one with you and show you where I'm going to put the rivets, and then we'll be able to go to our finish table. So we take our slider first. And go ahead and put this on. Then we take our swivel and we put it so that it's on the right side of our webbing. It's very important. Right side of our webbing. Also where our slider is. Then we're going to take our end and we're going to push it back up through the slider. Give ourselves some space. Back down, and you want to attach it to the same piece that you're currently working with. We do have to just burn our edges, seal them up so that they last. Okay, and what we want is the same distance on both of our backpack straps. So this has to move up a little bit. So we're just, there we go. And we're just attaching it to that one strand, and that will make it so that our slider can move. Our swivels will attach to our D-rings, which we'll put together at the finish table. But so now these are even-ish. This one still looks like it needs to go up a little bit. And this is the back. No one's gonna see this, so if it's not exactly even, it's not the end of the world. There we go. So what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna do this off camera, rivets are hard on camera to sort of show, is we're just gonna make 2 rivet holes, one on each side, and we're gonna rivet 2 rivets down through our webbing to hold it in place. And then we'll go to the finish table. Okay, we finished riveting our backpack straps, and are you ready for the big reveal, Dakota?
Yes, I am.
Are you ready? Look at her new backpack.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna block your face for 1 second, okay? Just so we can get this all up in here. We got our front pocket. We got our sides. We got our back with our hefty straps. So this was one of the alterations that we made. We put all of our strapping within this really sewn on anchor so that we would make sure that it was all good to go. We've got, look at how big we're inside. Sorry guys, so I'm just gonna move you a little bit. So we have got our inside, our binding, we got our big pocket. I mean, this thing is huge. What do you think, Dakota?
I love it. I could go into tears if I wanted.
Want to try it on?
Yeah.
All right, so I think it's safe to say that we started with the most difficult Dakota gift for back to school.
Because I am difficult.
All right, big bag. We got it on. See that? Let me see. Let's move us. There we go. All right, do a spin, Dakota. What do we think? All right, you can come down, honey. So, again, this is the Archie backpack from Knot and Thread, and it's big. She's a beast. This is a great size backpack. We did foam, so it's nice and sturdy. It should stand up well for Dakota at school this year. And the colors, good choice.
Yeah, I take offense for me being a big beast.
The bag is a beast, not you. The bag. The bag is the beast.
Okay, you could have said that before you said I was a beast.
Dakota, thanks for letting me make your backpack.
Yeah. Next video, we're going to do the lunchbox. I'm really excited. And inside the backpack, I always take a twist in my basic and simple. I always put something that's not basic and simple inside the actual thing, because who in their right mind would look into my backpack and see what I have?
Okay, so yes, up next in our sewing series is the lunchbox, which should be significantly faster, smaller, easier, and all the things. But this backpack is worth it. I would say if you're going to make a backpack for a school-age young person, this is a great pattern to grab. Definitely pick it up. It's a great size. I've been looking for a size backpack like this. I like my mini backpacks for purses, but you gotta love a big girl for a school bag when you need to put some things inside of it.
Are you talking about the backpack or me?
The backpack.
It doesn't have a name.
So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining Dakota and myself on this very first episode of Dakota's Back to School Basics. And we will see you soon.